We are glad you could come along, and we are joined as always by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a food and wine sommelier of the year. The group includes Rustico, 2 locations, Alexandria and Ballston. Got an event coming up there at Rustico we should mention later, totally. And also Columbia Firehouse and Vermilion in Old Town. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What is on tap this week?
Well, so this week we are actually smack dab in the kind of the middle of a sort of week-long celebration of the 5th anniversary of where we are right now.
Church Key.
Fantastic. And Birch and Barley downstairs. So it's hard to believe that, it's hard to believe that this place has been open longer than we've been doing this,
right.
Which is crazy.
We're coming up on 3 years on this.
So on October 22nd of 2009, which in some ways seems like decades ago and just yesterday for me, yes. We opened Church Key and Birch and Barley downstairs. So this past Wednesday, we officially celebrate our 5th, but we're doing a number of events here at Church Key throughout the week, culminating in a huge sour event, Night of Living Ales, on October 29th. So that's going to be really cool.
All your children grow up.
Yeah, they do. So I figured this is a kind of incredible coincidence, I guess, although maybe it was fated. We're doing another anniversary beer at the same time. So Church Key turns 5. Garrett Oliver, one of my best friends and my mentor in craft beer, turns 20 at Brooklyn Brewery just around the same time. So Garrett has been the brewmaster, in addition to everything else he does, of course, speaking and writing, at Brooklyn Brewery since 1994. So to honor his 20th anniversary at the brewery, they came out with this beer. It's called Hand Seal, and it is incredible barrel-aged barley wine, strong English-style barley wine, aged in 4 Roses oak bourbon barrels, and released in honor of Garrett's anniversary. So I figure it's a good one to taste for our anniversary as well.
Fantastic.
And also one last thing I should mention, it's no kind of, I guess, surprise or it was definitely intentional that Garrett was our very first beer dinner at Birch and Barley when we opened. So.
Smells fantastic. Wow. That is good. Now,
yes, it is.
What's the power level on this one?
Oh, I forgot. What is it? What did it get up to, anyways? It's a mere 13.3% alcohol.
13.3.
Which has historic precedence. That's not simply like Americans do it bigger. The beers definitely could get strong in the old days, and Garrett has been doing authentic British style beers as well as anyone in America since day one, and he and I share a huge affinity for classic British beers. I mean, the fact that even at some of the best bars in New York City, you will often see Brooklyn Bitter on cask, which is, their cask version of the Pennant Pale Ale, and it is incredible. So he knows how to do British beer, and only fitting that he would return to a British style and fuse it with his, barrel aging love that he's had for a long time. And I had the honor and pleasure to do collaboration beers with Garrett and Peter Buchart through Blue Jacket last spring. And when I was up there, it was so great to see because Brooklyn has been stockpiling barrels, and their barrel program has been growing by leaps and bounds, but they've been kind of keeping it all to themselves. Very hard to get some of their barrel-aged beers for a very long time. Now they've amped it up a bit. So once a quarter, they do these things. They're called BQEs. It's the Brooklyn Quarterly Experiment, where they release some very still rare barrel-aged beers, and this one is the Q3 rendition.
I want a New York strip with peppercorn sauce with this, but maybe I'm totally wrong. What would you pair this with?
Well, I'll promise I just think French food in general, right? I think foie gras, kill with this. The foie gras torchon we do at Birch and Barley is incredible with all manner of barley wine. Pâtés across the board. Rillettes, chicken liver mousse, anything that's got a little funk but lots of texture, anything that's decadent, I think is incredible with this. But steak would certainly live. Lamb would be incredible. Duck, goose, squab. Bigger the better.
It's a long list. Are we going to see this on shelves, store shelves, or do you have to come here to Church Key?
Oh, no, it's around, but very limited. And our friends take care of each other, so we have a nice supply of it, thanks to our friend. But I will say this, you will not see it on draft. And Garrett is, he's stuck to his guns on this, and for good reason. His finest beers always comes out when we're having like a big event, and I'll call him up or something. I'll be like, hey, what can you send us for this big event he's doing? He's like, can we do bottles? And I'm always like, no, you know, like Snallygaster, for instance, it's kegs outside. And he's like, that's a shame, Greg, because our best beers are in bottle and they're bottle conditioned. So once these beers come out of barrel, they're flat, right? So he does his blend, figures out which one is going to be perfect, and then he bottle conditions perfectly. So you get that really nice champagne-like effervescence. And also this allows for the beer with cork and cage to age over time very well. So it'll develop over time. It will get more sherry-like and port-like. It'll dry out and evolve like fine wine. So, you know, sometimes when you're like, sometimes it's good to remind ourselves that the draft fetish is good for some things.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you to say, because, I mean, the bottle is critical to this. And if you get snobby about just drinking draft beer, then you're missing out.
I mean, and also, I mean, with draft beer, there's so many other things that can come into play. It could be mishandled. The lines can't be clean. Especially when a brewer or brewmaster pays particular attention to the way that the bottle is kept and filled, it's going to be better that way. I mean, this is Belgian beer, generally speaking. I mean, I love serving Belgian beer on draft because typically we can offer it at a better price point. We can offer smaller portions and tastes, which is more affordable. But at the end of the day, a 750 milliliter bottle of West Malt Triple is superior to a draft version of that, which you don't find. But you know what I mean. So bottle conditioning and is key. And every great Brooklyn beer is bottled rather than kegged, and I think that's a pretty cool thing.
And quickly before we go, what's coming up at Rustico on November 1st?
November 1st, we're doing on Novemberfest. So as some people may remember, Rustico Oktoberfest was the biggest beer fest we had ever done with the neighborhood restaurant group until we literally outgrew our space.
It was a precursor to Snallygaster.
Yeah, because we were in the Rustico Alexandria, our first beer-centric place, my first place in the group. When I joined in 2006, we were doing this amazing outdoor festival in the lot behind that got so big with like 6,000 people by the end that we were literally forced to stop doing it there. And so we moved into DC, and that would evolve into Snallygaster. However, we love those environments, so we throw a smaller, more focused fest called Novemberfest. It's going to be on November 1st this year. Just show up. It is going to be outstanding. And this year we are doing, because Virginia craft beer has gotten crazy over the last few years, hugely expansive, lots of great breweries coming out, we're doing all Virginia craft. There'll be over 50 different beers from over 30 different cider makers and brewers, including some breweries who've never poured in Northern Virginia before, like Ardent and Strange Ways and The Answer Brew Pub out of Richmond.
Fantastic. All right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, always please do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.